Good morning, good evening. Welcome to 1 hour webinar on life of a UV in 5G NSA option 3X network. Hope you are all doing good today. My name is Prakash Joshi, subject matter expert at Award Solutions. You can reach me at prakash@awardsolutions.com for any post-session queries. Quick brief about me. As I am Prakash Joshi, subject matter expert at Award Solutions. I have 21 plus years of experience in telecom domain with an instructional focus on 5G and 4G LTE wireless technologies and custom training. Quick brief about Award. Award Solutions has been in business over 20 years. We work across the wireless ecosystem and serve a variety of different customers from vendors to service providers and beyond. We have also been the technology training partner to MWC for 8 years and are proud to have been honored as one of the best companies to work for in Texas. This slide gives you a thumbnail view of our training footprint. We have had the opportunity to train over 101K plus people on LTE, close to 20K plus on 5G and over 25K plus on virtualization technologies. Over the past couple of years, we have also introduced a new curriculum that includes data-driven courses on topics like automation with Python, data virtualization, machine learning, and more. We have various courses to offer based on a granularity of a content covered like a foundation and advanced. Also, we cater to different training formats like self-paced, expert-led live and blended learning courses. Happy to announce that Award Solutions is offering 20% discount on all technology primers and self-paced e-learning courses. And this offer is valid till 4th Jan 2021. Okay. So let us start our today's agenda. That is, what is life of a UV in 5G NSA, that is option 3X network. So here we can go with the first end-to-end architecture of NSA option 3X. Then we can have a discussion on signaling and the traffic paths in NSA. Then how to add G node B or how to remove a G node B as a secondary for a device and handovers. And finally, we can quick glance on 5G KPIs in NSA network. Objectives of this today's webinar: identify the network on components and their connectivity in 5G non-standalone option 3X network. Draw end-to-end signaling and traffic paths in NSA deployment for monitoring 5G activities. Step through key network operations such as cell add, cell remove, and handover for 5G G-Node B. And later, we can discuss about list and define 5G KPIs related to option 3x network operation. So this is our objectives of today's agenda. Let us go with the end-to-end architecture of NSA. So this is a migration path from LTE to NSA and SA. Since it is not a simple task to migrate from complete 4G network to a 5G. Say for example, 4G LTE and 4G EPC based network supporting 4G devices to a 5G based 5G RAN and 5G core supporting 5G devices, all while being backward compatible to support 4G devices. The 3GPP community considered several deployment options to ease the migration path. So depending on the specific situation of the service provider, it may choose one or more of the options. What are those options, deployment options? Let us explore these deployment options. See, start with the extreme left. If you see, we have a complete 4G and network, E-Node B and EPC, right? Then you can go for this will be the what we call it as standalone 4G or LTE and network. So if you go for this is the complete, and if you go for right side, that is standalone 5G network, that is what we are calling it as option 2. So here the complete 5G network without any help of a 4G network function and is called standalone deployment, also known as option 2. So to achieve the smoother migration from option 1 to option 2, the industry has introduced an intermediate step. So that intermediate step called a non-standalone deployment. So it is in the slide, what we have highlighted is the most prevalent option being deployed by the service provider called option 3x here. So what exactly this option 3x? So option 3x supports higher data applications by deploying 5G radio node, that is G-Node B, what we call it as a G-Node B, but keeps the rest of the network as is for quicker deployment. Like only the G-Node B is additional, remaining E-Node B, that is what we have in E-Utron, and the LTE-EPC is unchanged. We have not changed at all here. So this option, that is option 3x, reuses 4G EPC core network as is and introduces 5G G-Node B that connects with 4G E-Node B using a current interface, what X2 interface for both signaling and traffic. So that will be the different. So it introduces the mobile device that have both 4G and 5G capabilities, so that device have multi-rad, multi-radio access technology, both 4G and 5G dual connectivity. So by this way, device achieve data rate by receiving data from both 4G and the high-speed 5G air interface. So this should be the capable for the both 4G and 5G, then it is a possible. So this is the migration path what we have here. Let us see the architecture, what we have in this architecture. So this diagram summarizes the option 3x non-standalone deployment it is. And here we are calling it as ENDC. So ENDC is nothing but ENDC. So E means it is E Ultra or Utron, new radio, dual connectivity. So what is E Ultra? E Ultra is nothing but E node V is a master here. This is actually the master. So E node B is a master here. This is what we call. And G node B is a secondary. Why we are calling E node B as a master, or which node we can call it as a master? A node which connects signaling path to the core network, that is EPC, that is we are calling it as master node. So you can observe here, this is a E node B. E node B is S1 MME, that is for signaling. It has a connection with the EPC, that is MME. But if you see here G node B does not have a signaling path towards the core network. So that is the reason we are calling it as a secondary. And E node B has a signaling path towards core network, and we are calling it as a master. So whenever it is a master is E Ultra and secondary is a new radio, that is G node B, we are using in a dual connectivity. That means E node B is also one scheduler for the device. G node B is also scheduler for the device. So two schedulers are scheduling a data for the device. That is what we are calling it as dual connectivity. So it is not a carrier aggregation. Carrier aggregation where we have one scheduler, but dual connectivity, we have two schedulers for the same device. So this is what we are calling it as ENDC. So once you go for this ENDC here, option 3x, in this NSA deployment, G node B is added to mix of LTE network. That is what we have seen. So what happens here, a G node B here connects with the E node B using 4G interface of X2, that is for both signaling and data. See, this is X2 what we have in our LTE network. This is for the control plane and this is for user plane. It is a data here. This is required because X2 interface is required to help to add or delete G node B to the UV, as well as carry data for a split bearer. What exactly this split bearer? We are going to discuss in next couple of slides. So we are discussing about that. So we need X2 interface. Then G node B connects with the EPC. So G node B is connecting with the EPC. This is only for the data. So G node B connects with the EPC using S1U. So please observe here, there is no signaling connection to 4G EPC here. Okay. Then G node B connects to the device, that is 5G capable UV for the data radio bearer here. So this is the what we are calling it is a data radio bearer DRB. So that will be the one data 5G signaling bearer. 5G signaling bearer is optional actually. We don't have a signaling actual when the device in a NSA network, device is always connecting to LTE network. We have signaling radio bearer 1, signaling radio bearer 2 only towards E node B. That is, one more is there. Yes, we have a signaling connection between a device and a G node B, but that is what we are calling it as SRB3, but that is optional, signaling radio bearer 3. Otherwise, we'll have only the data radio bearer here. That is the reason 5G UV establishes an RRC connection only with the E node B in NSA option here. So SRB1 and SRB2 RRC connection only with E node B. So that will be the another point here. And E node B maintains the signaling connection with the MME, that is in 4G EPC. So E node B maintains a signaling connection. That is what we have discussed about is S1 MME. Because of this, we are calling E node B as a master here. So all the signaling, it will go through E node B. So for example, a device wants to connect or you wants to send any tracking area update, then always it has to go through E node B. From E node B, it goes to MME. Or in NSA network, core network wants to send a paging when the device is an idle, it has to come from MME to E node B. From E node B, it goes to the device. That means the NS, that is whatever be the NAS signaling, all it has to go through the NAS signaling is through E node B only. So that will be the another difference we have between the the device is or when device is connected in NSA network. So both E node B and G node B have user plane or user traffic connectivity with S gateway. So you can see here S1U as well as the G node B is connected to S gateway. So that way we'll have, this is what we are calling it as the multi-rat dual connectivity UV is required. This is ENDC capable device. That is what ENDC network. Master node is E node B, secondary is G node B, and core network is 4G EPC. But what we are losing, what we are lacking here is we cannot exploit the full potential of 5G capability. That means, for example, network slicing is one of the feature of a 5G network, where the network slicing is a logical network to provide a service, specific service to specific customer. That means completely we are making a separate logical network. Everything is virtualized in the core network as well as a radio network. So we are using a generic hardware. That is what we are calling it as a commercial off the shelf. And we are creating a logical network. That means virtual network functions for particular service, say enhanced mobile broadband, or we can say enhanced, that will be a massive machine type communication, or it may be a vehicle to vehicle, that is a V2X network, or it may be the some enterprise network. So if you go for a different services for different customers, they have different requirements. So single network will provide a particular requirements, particular quality of a service, maybe with respect to security, with respect to safety, with respect to data rate, with respect to latency. So everything, what is the requirement, accordingly I can create a network slice. That is possible in a standalone option, but that we are missing here because we can't do slicing, because that will be the, I need a separate 5G core network. So that will be the lacks 5G features like network slicing. This is the example. We'll have other features in a 5G network that we may not get, but this is mainly standby here because already LTE network is the completely full matured network and widely deployed network worldwide. So and we'll have a good coverage already from the LTE. Only thing is I want to provide a better data rate for the device. Then I can add a G node B, just a G node B as a secondary for the device. So that way I can have both the LTE network for coverage as well as my the 5G network to provide the better data rate to improve the performance of the service, as well as for capacity point of view it will be the good. So that is the reason we have gone for, before go directly jump into this option 2. So this will be the one option. It will be the one of the options defined by the 3GPP to move before option 2. That is what we are calling it as option 3x. See, this is in this, we can have, for example, you can see here, this is the LTE we have seen, 20 megahertz bandwidth we have seen in LTE. But in 5G, you can go up to 400 megahertz bandwidth is possible. That is the reason you can capacity, it will be the higher, and the coverage will be the less when you go for a higher frequency range. So we are defining two frequency ranges defined by the 3GPP, that is frequency range 1 and frequency range 2. So frequency range 1 is say less than 7 gigahertz, and if it will go, this will be the above 24 gigahertz, say 28 gigahertz or 31 gigahertz, higher frequency, and what we call it as wave. So higher frequency, the coverage will be the less, but lower the frequency, coverage will be the good. But if you go for this 100 megahertz, yes, here in FR1 we have, and FR2 we can go up to a 400 megahertz bandwidth. That is, so I can get a better the capacity in the 5G network and higher the data rate. This will be the one thing. Here in a 5G, it will support low band, mid band, and high bands. Say low band is less than 1 gigahertz, say 700 megahertz or 750 megahertz we can use, or it will be the mid band. You can go for say from 3 to some 7 gigahertz. Then this will be the high band. It will be greater than 24 gigahertz. So that way, larger bandwidth we can get. If still further, then even we can go for a higher the carrier aggregation. You can go up to 15 carriers is possible to aggregate if device is capable, right? So that way we can go for higher bandwidth. One component carrier is itself is a 400 megahertz bandwidth. I can go up to such a 15 component carriers in 5G. With the help of this in 5G, the higher frequency band, particularly will be useful for beam forming and MIMO. So we are using the beam forming, we are focusing beam, whatever be the radiating in, usually in LTE, what we have seen here, that is the usually we have seen this way, right? This is what we have, say for example, this is the one cell, and this will be the, sorry, this is the one cell, and for example, this is the our right E node B. Then usually what we have seen, this is the total, it will be the one sector, means one beam in LTE we have seen. But when you go for this is what we have in LTE, right? So similarly, if we go for 5G, then we'll have this is the cell, and this is, we can say, G node B, and this one is 5G. Because higher frequency we have here, because of the higher frequency, the antenna size, usually the antenna size is depends on the frequency. Higher the frequency, size of the antenna is going to be decreased. So height of the antenna is decreasing. So higher the frequency, lower the antenna size. Then in 5G, because we are speaking about 28 gigahertz of frequency, then the antenna size will be the very small, and it is possible to pack or integrate hundreds of antennas on a single chip, right? So this way, if you go for this, it is possible to go for this way. If you take, this will be the size, then hundreds of antenna, 1 2 3, in this way multiple antennas I can integrate here, and this way this is the cross polarized one. In this way I can go for the antenna. So this is what we have here. This is the antenna pair. If you take here, this is the antenna pair. So if you go for such a type of a packing, then it is possible to form a beam in this way. This is a one beam, this is the another beam, say this will be the third beam in this way, then this will be the fourth beam in this way. It is able to form a beam because we are able to focus certain set of antenna elements. We are changing the signal phase shift in such a way that the concentration of a signal energy focusing on a particular direction. So that is possible when you go for higher frequency, and this is what we are calling is beam forming. So with the help of the beam forming, it improves. So this improves beam forming, improves signal to interference noise ratio. So that is the beauty of this beam forming. So such a beam we are forming in this, and MIMO is as usual we have in LTE to improve user throughput, or it can improve a cell capacity also. So that way it will be the useful for both. That means we can have both a single user MIMO as well as multi-user MIMO. Both it is possible, right? So that way. Then one more is called virtualized RAN and split G node B. These are all some key enablers for 5G. So that is to improve the latency, because what we are speaking in a 5G network, less than 1 millisecond. So one is to improve the latency. One thing is a scheduling interval. It is a different in a 5G network. In the scheduling interval in LTE, what we are speaking is 1 millisecond. But in 5G, we are speaking scheduling interval is not rigid like LTE. So here the scheduling interval may be 0.5 millisecond, or it may be 0.25 millisecond or 0.625 millisecond. So if we have flexibility in the scheduling, so it depends upon, for example, URLLC kind of services, or wherever the low latency kind of services like augmented reality or serious gaming, virtual reality, such a things where we need low latency, then scheduling interval we are changing. We have flexibility in 5G. So in addition to the scheduling flexibility, to minimize the latency, we have a change in G node B, that is a RAN, 5G RAN side also, where we are splitting whatever be the protocol stack we have in G node B, like similar to LTE in E node B, we have a protocol stack, right? Like what we have, like physical layer, a MAC layer, RLC layer, and the RRC layer, as well as the PDCP also will be there, right? So these protocol stacks we are keeping, whichever be the delay stringent functions that we are keeping close to the G node B, and wherever the delay stringent, that is not much delay stringent functions, like for example RRC, or PDCP, we are keeping in the centralized unit, means at the center place. So that is what we are calling it as a centralized unit and distributed unit. So that we have in this. So this is actually we are using the centralized unit and the distributed unit. In this way, we are going to connect. Say, for example, this is the centralized unit we have. So this is what we are calling it as a centralized unit. And another one, it is the distributed unit. Say, for example, this is the one distributed unit. This is the another distributed unit. This is the third distributed unit. In this way, we are using called DU, distributed units, and these distributed units all it is connected to a centralized unit. So this will be the one, and this is the one. In this way it is going to connect here, and these distributed units are going to connect it to what we call it as, this will be the in this way. So this is what we have, tower. So this will be, we can say this is completely this one. I can use this way in this way. So this is the one what we have here. We can use. So this is what we are calling it as remote radio head. So this way, similarly, it will be the another one. So we have, this is again a remote radio head. So this is the complete what we have here. So this will be the completely what we are using. This is nothing but our E node B, right? Sorry, this is a G node B completely. So G node B is a centralized unit where we have, say for example, we can have the protocol stack, the wherever delay, not much delay sensitive functions, like for example, what we have, the SDAP is the one function, PDCP is the another function, and the RRC is the another function. This we can keep it in centralized unit, and the distributed unit where we have a delay stringent applications, say for example RLC and MAC, because all scheduling, retransmissions, everything is happening in this distributed unit. So this is how we are able to reduce the latency here. Everything, it will be between the distributed unit here and the device is connected to here. So this will be the UV is connecting here. So this type of architecture, we are going for this 5G network to reduce the latency. So this is the key building blocks of option 3x network. Good, let us move to the signaling and traffic paths in NSA option. What are these signaling? Because we have the RRC connection we have seen, and the user traffic we have seen, and S1 MME connection between E node B to EPC. So how it will be the signaling and the traffic paths in NSA network? Let us focus on signaling connections here. So when you go for this signaling connection, this 5G UV and E node B, this will be the E node B is a master, right? Then E node B is a master to MME, that will be the S1 MME connection, and E node B master to G node B, this will be the what we are calling it as X to C. So these are the things what we have. Very first we can speak the NS signaling. These are the signaling. S1 MME connection is the signaling from always from E node B to EPC. Then X2 signaling connection between E node B to G node B. Then finally the RRC connection. So first we'll start with RRC connection. Once the device is switched on, first always device connects to E node B, that is SRB1 and SRB2. Then once the device is sent the attach request to E node B, then E node B will forward to EPC. While forwarding, then it establishes the S1 MME, that will be the SCTP association between E node B and MME. So then it is connecting the S1 MME.
later on, if required, then E node B, as a master, will add G node B as a secondary for the device. So whenever it adding as a secondary, then it uses this X2 signaling connection. So X2C. So that way we have, these are the signaling paths. Then we focus on the user plane, that is a data plane. So data plane, when you go for this data plane, we are speaking about the master side and secondary side. How? So first you can go for example, master cell group, what we call it as MCG. MCG, a bearer. So when it's a master cell group, that means the device is connecting to E node B, is the first one. See this way. Device is connecting to the data radio bearer, and this is S1 U bearer, and whatever be the path, right? When you go for, this is the path what we have here. So this way the data is coming from all the way from S gateway to E node B to, this will be the device. So this is MCG. So in addition to this, we can have the another one, for example, see for example, this is the one we can have in this way also. And this is the another pipe. What is this pipe? If you take, these are the pipes here, and this is actually X2U, and this is what the pipe here. Whenever the data is coming from this, I will use a different color for this, say in this way. So whenever the data is coming from S gateway, this way, S gateway. So sorry, I will take, this is the highlighter, and this is the S gateway, data is coming. Sometimes this is the data will go through this pipe. I will use this way, I will use the different color. Okay, so this way, this is the one, it comes to the E node B, certain data, it will go through this pipe and comes to the G node B, and it is coming to here. That means whatever be the data first comes to E node B, some data will go towards the G node B, and this is, we are calling is master cell group. This is what we are calling it as a split bearer. So one will be the MCG bearer, only it is going through E node B to device. Sometimes even whenever it is required, you can configure MCG split bearer. Split means the data is going to split at the master node here. That means some data will come here, and some data, even this is we can have, this will be the in this way. So this is some data, it will go through this, and some data it will be coming here, and here this will be the in this way. Some data will go here, some data will come in this way. That will be the highlighter I will use, and this way. So some data it will come through this also possible. So here again, this is what we are calling it as this one. Again, this is MCG split bearer. So if the data will go only from E node B to device, we are calling it as a MCG bearer. If the data is splitting at the E node B, and some data will go directly from E node B to device, another some data, few data will go through G node B to device. That is what we are calling it as MCG split bearer. In this way, we have MCG bearer and MCG split bearer. So these are the two things when you go for MCG bearer. This is the one. Next one is, we can see here, this is the secondary, but split is happening at the secondary node. How? So this will be the how it happens. Data is coming from here. So this is the data is coming from S gateway, it is coming to all the way to the G node B. So some data it will go through here. This will be the data. This is the split, and some data it will go from here to here. Then it is coming to the device. And these two we are calling it as again. This will be the because split is happening at the G node B, and this is what we are calling it as a split bearer. This is also split bearer. But where split is happening, it is at the G node B. G node B is a secondary. So this is what we are calling it as SCG split bearer, and this is what we are calling it as SCG split bearer. So split happens, then it will be SCG split bearer. So here again we have two bearers. If it is, this will be the SCG bearer, only one pipe between G node B to the device, or this is what we are calling it as SCG split bearer. So then it is going to split. One pipe is coming from G node B to the device, and few data it will go all the way to the E node B through X2 interface, and from E node B it comes to the device. This is what we call it as SCG split bearer. In this way we have the split bearer things. So to the data as well as signaling. So now this will be the together it is MCG bearer and split bearer. How it happens, if you consider, if you visualize all the things, then this is MCG bearer, right? This will be only one pipe we have. This is MCG bearer, and split is happening at the G node B, then it will become SCG split bearer here. So this is the what we have master cell group bearer and split bearer. Split is happening at the secondary in this case. Okay, good. Now we have spoken about what exactly the NSA architecture, right? Then what are the key enablers for the 5G network? Then we have spoken about the different bearers in NSA option. And then we are speaking, okay, now the device is connected to the LTE network. When the device or when the E node B will add G node B as a secondary for the device. So then we can speak about this key network operations, how the device or E node B is going to add. Very first, these key network operations, when you see, we did these two things. Whether the device is capable for this ENDC operation is the first thing. That is what 5G capabilities. Then later on, E node B will ask a device to measure neighbor cells, neighbor 5G cells. So that way UV measurements will be given by the E node B to the device. So this is the one. Then when the device is providing, first the thing is device capabilities, that will be the 5G capabilities. So 5G capabilities, how it happens. So this is the slide summarizes the option thing, summarize the high level network operations of the 5G UV and option 3x based NSA deployment in 5G. Okay, in this, what happens, we know already E node B is a master in option 3x, and so that because the E node B is a master, that is the reason all the RRC signaling and MME, S1 MME signaling messages are always through E node B only, right? That is the reason. This is the first thing. Always it has to go through E node B. First device, when the device is switched on, it has to establish the RRC connection with the E node B. Then it has to attach to the EPC network. It has to do first. Later on, what happens? E node B will ask the device if the UV is capable. Then it will ask for the capabilities. What are your capabilities? What is the frequency bands you can support? What are the carrier aggregation? what are the subcarrier spacings it can support. So those things, what are the UV device capabilities will be requested by the eNodeB to the device. That is the first thing. Once this is a done UV capability, later on the device is going to send its capability. That is what we are calling, it will be the information transfer that we are discussing later slide. So the device is asking the capabilities. Okay, if the device is capable, then GE node B, if the 5G capable, the E node B has the 5G neighbors anyway, then E node B directs the UV to make 5G measurement. So all the signaling exchange between UV and E node B and ongoing data bearers all with the E node B. So that way it will be the data anyway, it will be there. At the same time, it is asking about UV capability, particularly 5G capabilities it is asking. Then device, when it asks the measurement here, so it will ask the measurement. So once the device is asking the measurement, eNodeB is asking a measurement, then device will go for these measurements of the neighbor cells. So once the measurements, then it reports to the device, reports to the eNodeB, hey, these are the 5G cells, these are the PCIs, and these are the signals what I have received from these of GNodeB neighbor cells. Then eNodeB decides whether to add or not. Later on, if the device is capable and it needs the higher data rate, or if the cell is congested, it will be so many criteria when to add, then device is eNodeB is going to add. That is what we are using is a cell add. So once the UV reports the 5G GNodeB is strong enough, then 4G eNodeB and 5G GNodeB collaborate on the X2 signaling interface to add the 5G GNodeB to serve the UV. So because eNodeB is a major, so eNodeB is a one which decides whether to add GNodeB as a secondary for this device. So if required, then it adds, it communicates with the GNodeB, then it will communicate and it is able to form a data radio bearer between GNodeB to the device as well as the master eNodeB to the device. So this is once we are adding. Similarly, it can delete as and when it can add or it can delete also. Then again to remove also, if the UV reports that hey, this 5G GNodeB is below some desired threshold, then GNodeB is removed from the serving the UV and data bearers are also moved back to the eNodeB. So that way, whenever it will be there, it removes and it will continue with from master eNodeB. So this is the one, or even this is handover is also a possible here. So because if the device is moving from say from one cell to the another cell within the same GNodeB also possible. Then, or if the device reports maybe another GNodeB is stronger than a current GNodeB, then UV and eNodeB exchanges the RRC signaling. So that will be the reporting is happening here. Then eNodeB interacts with the target GNodeB to facilitate handover of the GNodeB. So that way, even here also, eNodeB and eDevice, again, they will coordinate. eNodeB device will report, and based on the handover report from the device, say based on the measurement from the device, then eNodeB, that is a master node, will take a decision for the handover. So that way, UV on 5G, it adds, removes, as well as handover from one GNodeB to another GNodeB, or one from one cell to the another cell within a GNodeB is possible. How it happens, we can have a quick on this thing. So that is what we have spoken. RRC signaling connection with the eNodeB is over, it is done. Then UV capability inquiry is from the device, the eNodeB will ask for particular 5G capability particularly. Then device is going to report a UV capability. I am ENDC capable. So what are the frequency bands? What are the channel bandwidths I can support? What are the MIMO layers I can support? What are the different subcarrier spacings I can support? So these are the things that it is going to report to the eNode B. Based on this device, the eNode B will ask a device, because eNode B has a neighbor 5G cells. So because the eNode B is a capable, ENDC capable, then device eNode B will ask to measure 5G neighbor cells. So it will give, say, for example, 5G new radio frequencies. It will use the PCIs. It will give thresholds also, whatever be the events like inter-RAT, like how we have A1, A2, A3 in LT. Here also we have the same technology. If it is a different technology, then you will have event B1 and B2. So that will be there. So those the triggers, what are the triggering events, thresholds also will be given by the eNode B2 device. Then once the detection of the 5G NR cells, when the device detects the 5G NR cells, then it is going to report to a device eNode B. Then eNode B, based on the measurement, decision to add 5G GNode B as a secondary for the device will be taken by eNode B. So that is master. Once it decided to add GNode B as a secondary for this device, then the data is coming all the way from S gateway to UV as of now. Now the GNode B is a secondary. In this scenario, in this whatever been in the slide, what we are discussing here, we are speaking about, we are moving bearer from eNode B to GNode B. That means first we have MCG bearer. Now we are moving to SCG bearer. That means device is connecting directly to the GNode B. Means we are moving from MCG bearer to SCG bearer. That is the scenario here. See, if you take this, then data is coming all the from S gateway to here. Once the device is setting the measurements to eNode B master, then eNode B will decides to add a GNode B as a secondary. Then it sends the request, GNode B addition request. So whenever the device request goes to the GNode B, admission control happens at the GNode B, whether I can allow, what are the quality of service, what are the services. Based on that, it will decide whether to add this device, whether to allow or not. Then it sends the GNode B, secondary GNode B addition request acknowledgement. Okay, I am allowing, I am permitting the device to 5G cell, and how the device has to connect to what are the things device is supposed to do once it enters into 5G cell. That means the RAT parameters, as well as what are the SCG bearer parameters, all those things will be given by the GNode B to device through eNode B. That means this information will go to the through secondary GNode B addition request acknowledgement as a container, and that information like RAT information or SCG bearer, data radio bearer, so that information it will go through the device through RRC connection reconfiguration. In this, actually we have NR RRC configuration. So this information will go through this, then RRC connection reconfiguration complete, handshake signaling. So successful reconfiguration happened. Once the device got RRC connection reconfiguration, in that it got the NR RRC configuration. Now the device is going to connect to secondary GNode B, that is through RAT procedure. Then this is going to perform the RAT procedure, and it is going to get the connection with the GNode B here. Once the GNode B, it is trying to access the GNode B. Now Now the MME, what will be the S gateway is connecting to master here. All the data is coming to the master. But once the device is moving to secondary, then S gateway has to connect it to secondary. So that way, some modification has to be done. That is the reason. Then what happens? It will be the device, the E node B will start forwarding the packets to G node B on X to U. Then it communicates with the MME regarding the S1U path. Earlier, right now, we have between S gateway to master E node B. That has to be changed between S gateway to secondary G node B, right? That is the reason it will give a data bearer modification indication. Then S1U bearer modification goes to the S gateway. In acknowledgement to the data bearer modification, it will give the confirmation. Once it is done now the S1U, it is connecting between the S gateway to secondary G node B. So the data will start to flow all the way from S gateway to G node B, from G node B to here. Uplink, again it will be the, if it will be there, and that is the what happens. If it will be there here, it is there. If it will be the split bearer as secondary G node B, then it comes to the master E node B, master E node B to device. So if it is SCG split bearer, so that way, if it is a SCG bearer or SCG split bearer, that will be decided by the E node B master. So if it is only SCG bearer, then it has to be here. If it will be the split bearer, means then G node splitting is happening at the G node B. Some packets directly goes towards the device. Some packets will go through E node B. Then it comes to the data radio bearer at the LTE. So this is how the G node B is going to add for the device. As and when required, it adds. Otherwise, it take out the data from even the whenever it is a data transaction is over, whenever it is not required, then it removes the pipe, that is SCG bearer, from a G node B. So that way it will be the one. And finally, we are coming to these 5G KPIs in NSA and network. These are the main, the key performance indicator what we can have in this here. So once if you go for this 5G KPIs, key performance indicator, mainly is we have the many important, that will be accessibilities, one thing, or the retainabilities is the another one, and third one it will be the throughput or the mobility. So these are all involves the interaction of both 4G and 5G radio and networks. So that way we have, and mainly thing is the EPC concerned. If you see here EPC, this EPC hosts KPI or counters for both 4G and 5G operations in NSA network. And when you go for the master E node B, that is, this is what we call it as a master, right? So master E node B, because it is not able to peg any all RAN related counters that pertain to 5G operations. But if you take the secondary G node B, it monitors 5G related events. So when you go for this, the accessibility means the successful addition of a G node B. This is the one. When you go for this thing, first thing is the accessibility, right? Then we can go for, this is the relay, whatever be this. If you go for example, accessibility means you have to consider first start from 4G cell selection, RRC connection, that is random access, RRC connection establishment, it has to go. Then S1 signaling connection has to happen with the MME, attached to the MME, then it has to go to set up ERAP setup, right? This is all happens. Then if UV has a capability, then it configure UV for 5G measurements. It will be the next. Everything is happening between device and eNode B, right? That will be the one. Then when you go for this, the next one is the secondary. When you go for the GNode B side, then after completion of the attach procedure and measurement, everything, then eNode B has to add GNode B as a secondary, all these things. So accessibility is related to both, right? One, it will be the LTE accessibility as well as 5G accessibility. It is a combination of both. Together is 5G RAN accessibility rate in NSA option. That will be the one thing. Second thing is retainability. So retainability again. So how long we are establishing the connection with the GNode B? That will be because of some radio link failure may happen, or it may be the beam failures may happen. So these are the things we need to consider when you go for the retainability here. And third thing is the throughput. What will be the volume of the data provided or served by the GNode B? Then what data rate served by the GNode B? So these are the some KPIs we can have in this. So in this way, we can have even the addition to this, we'll have, as we mentioned, about the mobility also. So that's all about the KPIs. And we have spoken about this NSA option 3X and what are the operations or the UV capabilities and detecting the UV to measure neighbor cells, UV reports, and eNode B coordinates the mapping of APN traffic to appropriate data radio bearers. So that will be there, and these are the some KPIs we have spoken. Okay, this is all about the what we have in this. And so anything here, once if you go for this, if you take here because like this we'll have, we can say like this webinar award regularly runs the promotions on courses and creates a free learning videos, posters, articles, and more on technologies like 5G and maybe artificial intelligence automation. The best way to know when we release a new learning content is to follow Award Solutions on LinkedIn. So that will be there. And just you can use this QR code and it will take directly to your site, the award link site, or you can subscribe from there directly. Or if you are in LinkedIn, send me a note on LinkedIn and stay connected with me. So this is the one you can stay connected with me. If you need help with the scheduling course, I can also put you in touch with the right person at Award. Okay, good. Please visit www.awardsolutions.com. Okay, to know more about scheduled courses. In case you have any specific training requirement, please mail us at info@awardsolutions.com. Okay, good. Hope this session is informative. Thank you very much for your time. Hope to meet you again at another session. Okay, good. Yes, will you be sharing the notes with us? Yes, Chapo, yes, we are going to, yes, you can receive these notes with the slide pack, right? You can get these things. We are getting shortly, it is going to send to you. The who are registered for this, all you will receive the notes. Okay. So any questions, please use the chat window and we can have a discussion on that. Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much.